Hello everyone and welcome to Stress Factor Active Life. My name is Walter and I will be your instructor for today. Now today's class is going to be basic women's self-defense. Now so a lot of the techniques that we'll be covering are designed to allow a smaller opponent to defeat a larger, stronger, and more aggressive opponent without having to rely on physical strength. And we'll be going over some of the key differences between the female body and the male body, and going over some of the tools that a lot of women might not know that they actually have that they can use to deal with a larger and more aggressive male opponent. So right now, as you can see, we have our nice little tatami mat room that I've reserved for this particular spot. And I'm just waiting for my students to show up as well as my training partner, and then we'll get started. So until then, I'm gonna stretch out, maybe do some kicks and like listen to some music, break dance or whatever. And I will see you guys in a few minutes. Okay, so we're here with Stress Factor Active Life and we're going over basic women's self-defense. Now before we get started, I'm going to go over the difference between a female's body and a male's body. And today I have my training partner C-Roy here, who's been doing boxing and he's been doing Wing Chun. And then we have my friend Miho, and she's just started training with us. So for women, the weapons that a woman will use to defeat a stronger opponent are very different from the weapons that a guy will be using. If you'll take a look at these two, you'll notice that there's quite a difference in size and body weight. Let's look at Miho here. She's got beautiful hands, but her hands are very thin and her bones are very thin, and she doesn't have a lot of muscle here. Right? So her arms aren't designed for doing heavy lifting or taking impacts, right? C-Roy, he's got quite a bit of padding here, and this, I do too because I have more muscle, right? So when it comes to techniques like punching, guys' arms are more developed for punching than girls because we have more muscle and our arms are designed for heavy lifting. Now, let's take a look at Miho's hands. If you'll notice, her knuckles are a little bit more bony than C-Roy's here. So he has a little bit more padding for punching and doing heavy damage. When it comes to fighting, guys' arms are designed for dealing heavy damage, for a wide area of damage, right? So we're basically trying to break and crush bone when we're angry, right? Miho's wrists, however, aren't really designed for that. So, until she develops more wrist strength, punching for her could be dangerous because she can break her own wrist, right? Depending on how she does it. C-Roy, he can throw a punch and look how thick his wrist is. So he has a lot more support than Miho does. So, in a fight, if C-Roy were to punch Miho, he might do quite a bit of damage. However, if Miho was to punch C-Roy, he's got quite a bit of armor on him in the form of muscle, right? So, I was being nice, but he's got more muscle on him. So for Miho, it's going to be hard to deal enough damage to penetrate that defense, right? So, the tools that a woman has when it comes to using hand techniques are, one, her knuckles are bony. This is called boshiken, right? Now, when a guy punches, and you can try this at home, when a guy punches, he goes for widespread damage. So punch yourself in the arm like this, right? That doesn't really hurt so much, does it? Now, take your hand and bend this knuckle, and I want you to kind of hit yourself here. That hurts a lot more, doesn't it? So, this is called boshiken. One of a girl's main weapons is boshiken, because girls can do more localized damage. Girls are very good at nerve attacks. And for her, she can do a lot more damage to a guy this way. So, for example, if she were to use the boshiken and hit Mr. C-Roy right here, that's a KO punch, depending on how hard she does it, right? If she were to just punch him in the side of the head, like with using a normal fist, she's probably going to break her knuckles, right? Because he's just got too much armor for her to get through. So one is boshiken. Two, punches. I teach girls to use a lot of palm punches, because the wrist is weaker, right? So if you look at Miho's hand here, when she does the palm punch, she has this whole bone here to support. So if she can push through with her body weight, it's less dangerous for her hand. And she can use this for defense to push opponents away, or if she's pushing towards the neck area, to break somebody's neck. So like this is much more advised for females than like straight punching until like a girl develops wrist strength for punching, like for example boxing or Wing Chun or different styles, right? The third weapon for females is elbows. Now when I throw an elbow, I'm going for crushing, right? So I tend to use this part of my elbow and I'm going to try to break his neck, right? Or try to break his bone. A girl's elbows are a little bit sharper, right? So they're perfect for cutting, right? So like making cuts to the eyes or like attacking nerve points. Because her elbow is bony, she can hit nerve points more accurately, right? And that hurts and it does a lot of damage. So like we'll be going over using a lot of these tools. But generally, before I start recommending girls to use hand techniques, there's one general rule that I tend to go by, and that is don't attack with a hand technique until she breaks the guy's balance. Now, he's pretty solid, and he has pretty good balance. So, like, if Miho attacks him head on and attacks him directly, like, go ahead and push him.
Just push?
Yeah, just push. Just like, you know, try to like move him, right? That's pretty difficult, right? Mm-hmm. And it takes a lot of time. As long as he's got his balance, she's at a disadvantage because if he grabs her and he can ground, he's not going anywhere. He's just going to choke her to death, right? Regardless of hand techniques, if he's not at a disadvantage or if he still has his balance or he can recover his balance, she's in danger, especially if her body is in his line of attack. To get over this, what I generally teach is like when a girl is grabbed or when a girl is attacked, the first priority is to get her opponent off balance. If he's off balance, he's got two things to worry about. One, his balance, and two, her attack, right? So, like, see where I want you to grab Miho. Right, just like grab her. Now, he's not grabbing her too hard right now. We're going to go over a lot more of this in class later. But if Miho walks straight into him, like this step straight into him, so just walk forward into him.
Forward?
Yeah, walk forward into him. Like, if he's really putting in power, his arms are going to tense. Mm. And this is dangerous for her because also when a guy gets an adrenaline rush, he gets stronger, right? He doesn't get weaker. So like when he tenses his arms, it's going to be very hard for her to move him backwards. And also, she's getting choked at the same time. She's at a disadvantage because he still has his legs. A guy's power comes from the upper part of his body because we're used to we have a lot more muscle and we're used to doing heavy lifting. A girl's power actually comes from her hips, right? So if Miho tries to fight muscle to muscle with C-Roy, who's going to win? Right. So, but the girl's advantage is like having more muscles in her legs and having better balance than a guy. So it's actually quite easy for Miho to knock him off balance. Miho, step that way. Right. Now, you see this big guy right here?
This big lug.
You see this big lug right here? She just moved him with very little effort, right? Yeah, by that side. Okay. She doesn't even really have to step. Miho, just turn and wave at me. Right, see? So, as long as Miho uses her hips, then like she can move him. If she tries using her arms, Miho try moving him just only using arm strength.
Arm strength?
Yeah, just try moving him like using arm strength. And like really put your back into it. Yeah, just really try to ground down and move him. He's not going anywhere, is he? Right, exactly. So, because he's still got his balance, he's difficult to move. But, like, if Miho uses her legs, it becomes very easy. So, rule number one for women's self-defense is always try to get your opponent off balance first by using your legs. Because a woman's legs are, like, designed to carry a child for 10 months, right? So, like, that's why they're stronger, naturally stronger than a guy's legs. So, we're going to be going over this a little bit more in class, and I'm going to cut the video so we can do our stretches and stuff. We'll be recording later.